Yeah. You're Justin. Three guys and one for.
Scott.
Sorry, I'm not turned on. Good morning. We've got a great crowd here, a lot of familiar faces. Looking forward to getting this board meeting going. The Texas Government Code permits this Board of Trustees to meet in a closed executive session for the following reasons, among others: to consult with the college district's attorneys on matters deemed privileged by the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct or Government Code 551.071, to deliberate regarding real property under 551.072, a prospective gift under 551.073, certain personnel matters under 551.074, security devices or security audits under 551.076, and economic development negotiations under 551.087. If the board meets in closed session, we will announce the particular section under which we will be doing so prior to initiating the closed portion of the meeting. We're going to move on to the invocation and pledge to the American and Texas flags. And today we've got two students with us. One of them is Kyle Peschel, who I'm pretty familiar with. Kyle is a graduate of Belleville High School and has spent the past 2 years at Blinn, where he was a proud member of the Blinn baseball team. He recently earned his associate degree in ag business and is beginning his career working for the Family Tree Company. And I can vouch for his character. Great kid, great kid. Second, we've got Sky Sistala. Sky is a graduate of Bel Air High School in Houston. She is currently in the Texas A&M Engineering Academy at Blinn Brenham and has served as a resident assistant in the housing department. Sky will be at the A&M campus in the fall pursuing a degree in aerospace engineering. Very good.
I'm going to go ahead and pray for us this morning. If you would, please bow your head. Dear Lord, we just thank you for giving us another beautiful day. Lord, we thank you for giving us the opportunity to gather today. Lord, we just pray that you watch over us. Lord, we thank you for safe travels here, Lord, and we just pray for safe travels on the way home, Lord. We just thank you for the breakfast, the food that's been prepared for us, Lord. We just pray for the hands that put it together, Lord. We just hopes it helps us, nourishes our bodies and gets us through, Lord. Like I said, Lord, we just thank you for all your many blessings. Watch over this meeting and guide us safely home. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Now for the pledges. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now for the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you guys very much for being here, probably on your summer break. Thanks a lot. Okay, looks like no one has signed up for public comments, so we will move on to the report section. The first report will be given by Dr. Hensley.
Thank you, Chair Colcorson. Good morning, everyone, and I hope you're having the beginning of a wonderful summer. Let's start off, trustees, with our facilities update. We do continue to navigate supply chain issues on each of our projects, and we're working with the construction managers at risk to minimize any delays. Regarding the parking lot K, that's near the former site of Solons Hall beside the Doyle Coatney Center. We have identified alternative solutions to address the lengthy lead times for electrical components, and this project does remain on schedule. Demolition of the existing parking lot paving has occurred, and we have ordered electrical materials to provide power for the food truck. This project is scheduled for completion at the end of this August. CR Systems has completed the roof shingle replacement for buildings 1, 2, and 3 and the mechanical outbuilding at Blinn College Park Apartments. The production of mechanical roof vents, gutters, and downspouts is underway, and this project is scheduled for substantial completion by the end of this month. And regarding Old Main, at the Old Main building, the roof tile and facade repairs are underway and are scheduled for completion in January of 2024. And now to the Bryan Administration Building. At the Bryan Campus Administration Building, the City of Bryan and the design team are finalizing approval of the site plan. The guaranteed maximum price for this facility is on today's agenda for your consideration, trustees. Pending your approval, an amendment to the construction manager at risk contract will be executed, and we anticipate construction will begin this August. This project is scheduled for completion in February 2025. And now on to something that just has inspired us all this year. Let's talk baseball. Trustees, our baseball team recently had an exceptional showing at the Junior College World Series at Grand Junction, Colorado. In their first World Series appearance since 2004, the Buccaneers won 2 games to advance to the national semifinals. This marked the team's first season under Coach Dusty Hart, and the Buccaneers posted a very impressive overall record of 46 wins and 15 losses. Coach Hart, congratulations on an outstanding season. Would you mind coming to the podium for just a moment? I'd like for the trustees to know and meet you, and perhaps if you could introduce the staff who are with you today. I don't believe you have any players other than Kyle a moment ago, but if you do, let's introduce them as well. Trustees, I'd like to have Coach Dusty Hart know you.
Well, thank y'all for having me. First, I'd like to introduce my assistants, Zach Simp and Coach Eric Weaver. They don't get near enough credit. I mean, they work really hard every day to put a good product on the field. And, you know, I'm a big believer in it takes a village. And, you know, when you have 40, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that are from all different walks of life, you know, raised differently, they have to they have to take pride in where they're playing at. And I think this college it's just an unbelievable experience. I think grateful doesn't even do it justice when I say I'm so grateful for you guys allowing me to have the opportunity to come here. And, you know, they were definitely playing for the name on the front of the jersey instead of the name on the back. And that's bigger than me or our coaching staff. That's the teachers. That's how they're treated in the classroom, the counselors, Dr. Macinda. I don't know if he's here today, but Dr. Kenneth Macinda, just instrumental in helping us make sure they make good grades and allow them to have the opportunity to move on. And hopefully we can finish a couple spots ahead next year instead of fourth. But we're looking forward to it, and we just want to say thank you from our side. So.
I think you have enthused not only Blinn College, but all of Brenham and all of Washington County. I know that so many people that I talked to during the spring were just raving about the miraculous season that we were having. It was quite unexpected, if I may so. We had high hopes, but realistic expectations at the same time. And our expectations just kept increasing with every win. And so I'm just going to tell you now that I'm making my reservations in Grand Junction. And I think several others may be too, and we're certainly hoping to be there next year. The pressure is not on at all, of course. And to your assistant coaches, Eric and Zach, you know, Coach Hart is right. It does take a whole team, a team of leaders from the coaching perspective to build an incredible team as we had this year. So I want to thank you all too for the leadership that you provided and the admiration and the respect that you garnered from our players. It was clear to me as I watched the games that there was a single unit out there and there was a sense of purpose and unity, and it was for Blinn and not so much for the individual. And I just want to say thank you on a personal level for what you have done for this college and this particular sport. Thank you so very much for taking time from your busy schedule to be here today too. We really appreciate it. Well, trustees, I'm not through with the accolades yet because our World Series performance wasn't the only national accolade that our athletic department received last month. On May the 16th, athletic director and men's basketball coach Scott Schumacher was inducted into the NJCAA Men's Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame in recognition of his more than 30-year coaching career. Coach Schumacher holds a career record of 634 wins and 381 losses, including a record of 208 wins and 133 losses at Blinn. He ranks 13th in wins among active NJCAA basketball coaches and has led the Buccaneers to at least 20 wins in 6 of the last 8 seasons. For his career, he has coached 37 players who have gone on to play professional basketball and more than 85 who have signed Division I scholarships. Coach Schumacher is an amazing basketball coach, and he is also an equally amazing athletic director. Coach Schumacher is a humble man. I know that he feels slightly uncomfortable by my talking about him. He would rather be on the basketball court right now, I have no doubt. But I'm so pleased that you took the time from your busy schedule and put aside the fact that you were very humble for this board and for this administration to congratulate you, Scott, on such an amazing career. And we are so very proud of you. Would you like to come to the podium, or better yet, I should say, would you come to the podium? Because I know you don't like to, but would you like to share a few words with our trustees?
First of all, I appreciate y'all having me. My wife says, wow, you've been in front of the board a lot these last 3 or 4 months. I said, yeah, I've been in front of the board more last 3 or 4 months than the last 10 years since I've been here. I'd like to thank the board for everything you do for our students here, not just our athletes, but everybody that's involved in extracurricular activities. It's what makes Blinn College what it is. So thank you for that. I'd like to wish Dr. Hensley a early happy birthday for tomorrow. Yeah. I'd like to thank all of our coaches that I get to work with every day. They truly understand what we're trying to do within our athletic department. They recruit quality people that are trying to earn hours towards their degree. They don't put winning above other things, and that's one of the things I like about Blinn, and I've really enjoyed working here, love working here, because we're not all about winning. We're about helping the student athletes. We're about helping them earn their college degrees. And I just want to say thank you to all our coaches. I want to say thank you to Debbie Watson and Brandon Colvin, our assistant athletic director, and our director of business, Debbie. She's not the director of business, but I can't remember what her job title is exactly right now. But whatever it is, she does a really, really good job. Yeah, Dr. Hensley asked me to come say words. I said, Dr. Hensley, I've already been up there enough. I don't, but it was very, when I got the phone call, I used to serve as the president of or the head of the committee for the election to the Hall of Fame. So I know what a difficult job it is, and it's very humbling, and very proud of the fact of all the guys I've coached and all my assistant coaches. And that's the real reason when you get elected to the Hall of Fame, it's because you had really good people playing for you and really good people working with you. I would like to end it on this note that, Dusty, it was an expectation to get to the national tournament, just so you know that. And you far exceeded everybody. Your staff is wonderful, and congratulations on your season. It was really, really good. I enjoyed watching all y'all's games. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. I'm just going to say it again. I'm so proud of Blinn's athletic program and the leadership that you all and our other coaches provide. You're absolutely wonderful, and it is a joy and a pleasure to be able to attend your games and to cheer you on. I thank you so very much for all that you do. Well, today marks Richard Cervantes' our Vice Chancellor for Business and CFO and Finance. This is his final day at Blinn, literally. Today is his final day. I have a feeling as soon as we finish with the board meeting, he and Marion are out the door and in the car. He's retiring from Blinn College, and he has accepted the CFO position at his former institution, the New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology. Since coming to Blinn in 2017, Richard has overseen Blinn's budgets and insurance, business and finance, food services, and facilities and construction. In that role, he has guided the development of the Cruzy Center, Mill Creek Hall, Prairie Lee Hall, the Science, Technology, Engineering, and Innovation Building, and the renovation of the W.L. Moody Jr. Library and the Student Center Dining Room on the Brenham campus, and construction of the Walter C. Schwartz and the Blinn Rellis Administration Building on the Rellis campus. And he has overseen the development of the Bryan Campus Administration Building to this point. In recognition of his 6 years of service, we would like to present him with a commemorative plaque. And I wonder, Richard, if you might come forward at this time, and Chair Colkhorst has some things he would like to present to you. And then afterwards, we'll take a photo, and then we'll ask Marion to come as well and join us for a photo.
Richard, I've got a really nice plaque that says nice things about you. But, what I would like to say is that, all those projects that we've been able to get accomplished while you've been here, a large reason for that is truly the part that you played in the prosperity of this college. The fact that, over the last, really just about the time that you got here, it's like magical that, we've been able to do really well. But, in all seriousness, the way that you approached your job, with a smile on your face, but willing to say, what needed to be said when it needed to be said, really kind of an art for someone in the finance arena. And it's boded very well for this college. And, on behalf of the board, I'd just like to say thank you and great job. And you guys enjoy, not really retirement, but one step closer to retirement. So.
And 1, 2, 3. And just one more time. And 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
We've got the obligatory and infamous Blinn watch as well that we want to hand to you. And I think we've also got a certificate back here I'm going to send with you, but we're going to see what you've got to say.
Thank you, sir. So I haven't seen this side. Usually I have my back and looking this way. This is a little different, so it may throw me off a little bit. There's a lot of thank yous, but before I get into that, I want to thank the most important person in the room for me, and that's my wife. We came here 6 years ago. She had never lived outside of New Mexico, and brought her to Texas. And every time I came to Texas, and we were like in the air or something, and I would say to her, "Did you feel it as we crossed the state line?" And she'd say, "What?" And I'd say, "Your IQ just went up." Of course, she didn't believe that. She's from New Mexico. But we get here, and within 3 months, we're getting Hurricane Harvey. So in one day, we're getting as much rain as New Mexico would get in an entire year. So that was the first national or state emergency that I had her go through, and so I'm very grateful that she stuck with me. She hadn't left yet, and she's going into the next adventure. Hopefully, it's not going to be a misadventure. And then the second one came, the second natural disaster, maybe not so natural, the pandemic. And I am so fortunate to have been here at Blinn and for us to work from the house. And we live out in the country. It's wonderful to be out there in an environment. For me, I can't imagine being in New Mexico when that hit. It just wouldn't have been as easy for me. I am a very spiritual person, and being out there with the different animals that I was able to see, it did something for my soul, did something for Marion too. And then we get number 3. The hits keep coming. We're so lucky. So we may be, leaving before we bring in the infestation. So you guys should be happy about that. And that is the storm, the 100-year storm. It not only takes out Old Main, but also takes out Marion and our house, where we had some flooding. And for 4 or 5 months, we're having to be in another room while the contractors are coming in to fix all that. So thank you for sticking through all that, the good stuff. And now we're going on to the next one. I'm going to tell you a story that I really had intended for retirement. And so this is semi-retirement, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. I started out my career at North Texas. I was the accountant of the university store. And when I first arrived there, there was a woman there, her name was Margie Pelsdale, and she had worked there forever. And so Margie comes up to me and she says, "Richard, you're going to love this business of working for a university and for a college. There's something about it. I'm telling you, it's the fountain of youth. You get to work with students, and there's something about them that keeps you young. Well, I think I was doing pretty good till I came to Blinn and I got those 3 emergencies, and then the gray hair seemed to have multiplied more than once. And then the second story is a person, they put me on a board right away, a university student union board. And there was a fellow there by the name of Dr. Wright. He was an English professor, been there a long time. He was much older than me. For some reason, he took me under his wing. And he said something to me that I never forgot, and really for the most part until now, I've always kept a secret. He said, Richard, students really don't need a good bookstore for them to be successful. They don't even really need good administrators for them to be successful. And then finally, they don't need good faculty members to be successful. The only thing they need is a willingness to learn and a very good library. And I looked at him and I said, well, you know, Dr. Wright, I'm just beginning my career here, so why don't we keep that to ourselves for a while, okay? So until now, I've not said anything. And then I come to Blinn, didn't know anything about Blinn. I've learned a lot, and Dr. Hensley brought me here. I would be forever grateful for you doing that. I had no idea. I really did not know. I did not know about Blinn. I did not know any of you good people, and it really was a blessing for me. I've been able to learn things here that I never would have learned being anywhere else. So it really has worked out very well for me, and I will be forever grateful for your bringing me here. The next group that I would like to thank is the board, and you and your predecessors have been very kind to me and kind to the administration. We've worked collaboratively. All those projects that you've talked about, we did them together. The people in this room, we did them together. You say I guided. I don't know that I guided. I helped to guide maybe as long as everybody else did. But we all contributed and we did some good work here, and you'll continue to do good work. I'm very confident. And then not the last group, but the staff. I mean, from Vicki to Chris to Sissy to Richard. I don't know if Joe's here or not. Jim before him. Ross, thank you guys so much. There's others here too. I appreciate your help. I love you all, but I love some of these a little bit more because I dealt with them all the time. So I do want to express that you have some people here that are phenomenal. I mean, they work so hard. They're so smart, and they're very loyal to the institution, and they demonstrate it over and over again. There's other people here, my colleagues. You guys have all done great work. Again, I love some people just a little bit more because I worked with them all the time. So I appreciate the help for those of you that are in the room too that I didn't mention. I want to thank God for bringing me here. It was a pleasure that I did not know, and it's happened to me more than once, and this is another one that I can look back and say, well, there's another time where you're brought in a different direction, and you think, okay, I was doing good over here. How the heck did I get over here? Well, I know now. It was to come with you good people and do some good work here. I said to the chancellor when I first arrived here during the interview, I remember, I've told her this, I've never said it publicly. It was that at the end of the interview and they ask you, do you have any questions or do you have any comments or things you would like to say? And I said, you know, this hasn't been a straight line to get to Blinn. I'm not real sure why I'm here. It's the only time I looked at her straight in the eye and I said, but I hope it's for a good reason. And it turned out to be a really, really, really good reason. The last ones I'd like to thank, and this will be the last thank you, are my parents. My mom and my dad gave me the good sense to get back to Texas as quickly as I could, and I'm going to continue to do that. Now I'm going to make everybody nervous, including my wife, and I've got to pull it out just in case I don't want to mess it up. But there is this is for you, Mr. Moser, probably more than anybody else. But these chambers are very serious and they're serious work done. You will probably have never heard and will probably never hear it again, the name Groucho Marx brought up again. And so I was a fan of Groucho, and I won't go too bad into him, trust me. But there's a song, Animal Crackers, I believe it is, that he says, and I'm not going to sing most of it, but I'll sing some of it, and I won't say, yeah, she's saying, don't do it, don't do it. So first he says, well, I'm certainly grateful for this magnificent turnout. And here's the song. Hello, I must be going. I cannot stay. I came to say, I must be going. I'm glad I came, but just the same, I must be going. Thank you very much.
As always, lovely words from a lovely person. We're going to miss Richard and certainly wish him well. Trustees, we are joined today by Dr. Blinn Burton, who will serve as Blinn's next Vice Chancellor for Business and Finance CFO, beginning on August the 1st. We have his plaque here, and he was going to be seated next to Richard. When he came today, he's feeling slightly under the weather. So he's been watching from camera and has now entered the room. If I could just point with my hand. Dr. Burton, welcome. We are so pleased that you are now joining the Blinn family. Let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Burton. Dr. Burton brings almost 20 years of experience as a CFO, Chief Financial Officer, including 17 years with River Parishes Community College in Louisiana and his current position with College of the Mainland. In these roles, Dr. Burton has significant experience overseeing a transparent and collaborative budget process and managing a wide range of community college business operations. While he begins his new duties on August the 1st, he will be at several upcoming meetings in preparation for his official start date. Thank you, Dr. Burton. We're so glad that you were able to come, even though you have a case of the sniffles a little bit. We're so pleased that you could join us, and we look forward to working with you. And I have no doubt, trustees, that we will be having a budget, audit, finance, and investment committee before the August board meeting, and we'll just put him right to work, and also you'll have an opportunity to visit with him on a personal level. With this, and certainly at the end of today's meeting, I expect Dr. Burton and I expect Richard Cervantes to both leave as quickly as they can. They're on their way to other things, but I want you, Richard, particularly to know how much it has been a joy to work with you. I thank you so much for your contribution to Blinn, and I still have your cell phone number. Okay. And Dr. Burton, I have your cell phone number, and I know that we'll be talking intermittently throughout the summer. Thank you both for the contributions that you have made and will make to Blinn College.
Dr. Hensley, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to the Board of Trustees for bestowing this on me. I have a question for the Board of Trustees. Does anybody know how to make a good etouffee? Reference to my Louisiana play.
You're looking at a guy born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. We'll talk.
You're so welcome again. Thank you. Trustee Chair Colquist, this ends my presentation for today. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hensley. Now we will move on to item B for the presentation of the financial statement package for the period ended May 31st, 2023. Mr. Cervantes, will this be your last official duty?
Yes, it will be. And surely these folks I know they're anxious to hear the financials, but
While he's doing that, I'll just note that if any of our guests would like to go ahead and leave, other than Richard, You're welcome to go ahead and do so at this time. We have refreshments in the kitchen and drinks in the refrigerator. Thank you all for attending.
Mr. Chairman, I thought being retired that I wouldn't have to do some of these things, but I guess I can't transfer anything off. So this may be shorter than some of our football friends' retirement. So the financial report is through the month of May, which means we're 9 months through the fiscal year, 75%. Our revenue this year through May is almost 103 million. Our expenses are 90.4, and we're netting out $12.4 million. Year to date compared to last year at the same period of time, we had 103 this year, $111 million last year, which means there's $8 million less than what we brought in last year. Now, that last year, 2022, that included $15 million worth of HERF money. So actually, because that's twice the amount of the almost twice the amount of the 8 million, it'd be almost $8 million plus if we did not have that revenue in there last year. Expenditures, however, are up legitimately, $90.4 million compared to $87 million, which leaves us at $3.4 million increase. Our net change is at 12.4. It's a good number. 23.9 last year, $11.5 million less, but again, the $15 million has impacted that. We are going to show you, this is my last presentation, but I will show you a few more different slides than what you've seen before, or you've seen them in other areas, but I'll try to go through the explanation of why we're going there. So tuition and fees well, let me start on 22. So the 14.4% down, up in the other column, represents all that HERF money. And so it threw off the percentages pretty good in that last year. And then 23, we are up in tuition and fees, we are up in auxiliaries, property tax and interest is through the roof, but the 1.17 explains the non-HERF. So here's what we've added just to kind of get a perspective that's different. It really wasn't brought on by these, but we went and put these categories, but we went and put it up here just to see what it looked like. So if you look at tuition and fees back in pre-COVID, 58% compared to where we are, 62%. We've done a reasonable good job, really good job of increasing the fees despite the fact that our enrollment isn't quite where it was, but we're trending in the right direction, absolutely. And auxiliary sales and services even looks like a bigger hit. We were at 17% in 19 and 10% now, again, through May. Part of that, you can see in 2020, it dipped down quite a bit. For those of you who were not on the board, that was the beginning of COVID, and we had to take $3 million out of housing revenue and food service revenue and parking revenue, all the auxiliaries, and we refunded it to students, so it brought the number down. I'm not saying that we need to be close to the 17%, be closer would be good, the 10%, but the enrollment and the occupancy has played a part in the numbers being down there. Interest is through the roof. It's because we've been taking advantage of the great rates that we have. And then the other category, you actually look after you take out those two, 21 and 22, those large numbers, it actually is going to be coming back to normal. So our budget tuition and fees was at $73.5 million. Through May, we're at 63.1, which means we're at almost 86% of the way through our budget. Our tuition revenue is up $1.5 million or 4%. Out of district is up and out of state is also up. The main reason why we've added some of those other slides is because of the out of state. So I asked staff, and we are not we've never been in a position where we just show you the numbers. We want to make sure that they make sense. And so I questioned that number and said, or is it possible that we've been miscoding some of the categories, and maybe they should be in one of these others. So they did look into it. But here's the slide that Ms. Ward gave me that kind of shows it is normal, and we looked at it. So in 2019, our out-of-state revenue was $2.8 million. It's $3.3 million now. We can attribute that pretty much solely to the fact that we've been increasing those rates, because it turns out the number of students that were enrolled out of state in 2019 are pretty close to what they are right now. So there's not much change. Can't say the same for the in-district. You can see that those numbers have continued to go down, and then the out-of-district still have not recovered. We're trending in the right direction. We're going to get there. It may take you a while to get there, but you're definitely moving in the right direction. So general fee is also up, or the fees are up $2.1 million. The biggest portion of that is the general fees at $24 million. But all of these others, the lab course and technology fee of the workforce, and we show you the 5-year analysis to look at that too. Again, you can see that the general fees are actually down because the enrollment isn't where we want it to be, at least at this point. But you see the opposite in the technology and the lab course fees. And it's not just the enrollment there. So here in 2021, we had a distance ed, everybody was on distance ed, and we were charging a distance ed fee that caused that number to go up. But then that went away. But this year is the first year that we've added this technology fee. And so that's what's driving some of these numbers to go up. At some point, all of that great equipment that the college purchased with federal money to put in the classroom to allow us to be able to tape some of those classes for our students, they're going to get old. And so we already have a technology reserve, and this is going to be an opportunity for us to continue to grow that reserve. Probably does need to be higher. Our budget for our housing and food service is $10.8 million. We're at 8.3 as our revenue, 78%. When we look at all of the auxiliaries, we're up 10%, 933,000. Food service is up. Bookstores are up now. Hopefully, we'll even go up a little bit more. And parking is also up. And then the 5-year trend there, I won't go into too much. You can see how much we were making back then in housing, and food service was even, we had more, but we had more students, and then parking, the same thing. So we have room to grow. There's going to be some opportunities there with enrollment that's going to grow some of this revenue. Total expenditures is our delta. We spent $90.4 million this year compared to 87 through May, which leaves us a $3.4 million difference. The bulk of that is in salaries, that 5% and 6% increase that we approved for Blinn. But we also have E&G. We've been talking about the expenses have gone up. You see some offsets here where we did not budget R&R for fiscal year 23, the 1.3. Payroll, we showed you this one before. This is a percentage of revenue dollars. So every dollar that comes in, you're spending 61.4 cents. And that number doesn't look too far off of 20, which would be a good benchmark for us. I don't know what was happening in 19, but this one I think is reasonable. And then our debt service, Mr. Moser, it's at 8.5 through May. Our guess is that it will drop down. I have a side bet with the staff. I say it's going to come a little bit up of 7%, maybe 7.10, 7.2. Some of them are saying it might go below 7. I don't believe them. You should bet on me.
Can I call you?
Chancellor has my phone number. But there is some good news on the horizon, and you'll see that in the budget. That number is going to go down next year, and it's going to go down closer to maybe even below 6%, because the debt service is going to go down, revenue is going to go up, and so that number will probably come down to where closer to the 2019 or 2020 numbers. So it's short-lived. All right. Student cash and refunds in May, we brought in $6.1 million. The bulk of that is in student payments, 6.3, but we did issue refunds pretty close to 200,000. Our other cash receipts in May, we brought in $3.5 million. The bulk of that is the state appropriations. We had some miscellaneous in tax, and it still is remarkable to me, but we're generating over $300,000 monthly in interest. And so you should go over $3 million would be my very good guess for the end of the year. So our use of cash in May, we used $9.4 million. Largest part, as usual, is payroll, 6.4. We still have some construction. We're paying out 1.2, and then accounts payable of 1.8. So in summary, we have $6.1 million that we received from students, another $3.5 million from other services, but we issued out $9.4 million in cash. It's slightly up for the month of May, which we put into our bank. So our unrestricted cash and cash equivalents, here's the $60 million, which has all of our reserves. Here's the $37 million for the current projects that the board has already approved. That does include the administration building on the Bryan campus, which is the bulk of that. So, and then as soon as they break ground, that number will begin to go down. But this is what's available to you, at least at this juncture, $21.6 million that's available for new projects. Stand for any questions.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Cervantes. Okay, we will move on to item C on the agenda, the institutional enrollment report for the spring 2023 spring semester, mini-mester, and summer one session. Dr. McBride.
Good morning, Dr. Hensley, Mr. Chair, and board members. I would like to say thank you for this past year and all your support to student services. Today we're going to discuss enrollment for spring, May, and summer one of 2023. Before I begin the conversation, I wanted to discuss an interesting article I found on Cato Institute just last month. And I quote, "Community college enrollment has been especially weak. A review of the Federal Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System, or commonly known as IPEDS, data from 2011 and 2021 shows that several community colleges have suffered catastrophic enrollment declines over the 10-year period. Nationally, total enrollment at two-year public colleges fell 36%, went from 7 million to 4.5 million over the 10 years ending in fall of 21. Now, despite changing student demographics and employer requirements, Blinn is trending the other way, I'm very happy to say this morning. So if we look here, our numbers for the spring of 23, it ran from January 17th until May 5th, with finals ending May 11th. We've had an increase in our head count by 518 students this past spring when compared to last year. And as you can see, trustees, we've surpassed the 2022 number for the spring and 2021. So we're trending toward the 2020 spring semester. On this slide, trustees, you can see the breakdown by campus, our enrollment for the spring semester. You can note the increases here, as you can see in green at Brenham, Bryan, in the high schools, which of course is a dual credit, and on the Rellis campus. I'd like to note, though, for the high schools, out of 53 agreements, 26 of those have increased enrollment this past year. I wanted to thank both Dr. Busicki and Mr. Anderson for their continued support in opening courses for us throughout the fall semester, as we have constant communication between us to make sure we have enough seats for all the students. We did expect the distance education number to be negative, as we have more students on campus at the locations I just mentioned. We had an additional 57 sections of courses offered this spring when compared to last year. So the takeaways for our spring semester, I had mentioned, we're up 518 students when compared to last spring, which is a 3.36% increase. Our contact hours increased 2.53% when compared to last year. And we have surpassed the spring enrollment for spring of '22 and of '21, and we're heading toward that 2020 number. The majority of our campuses are seeing an increase in enrollment on site. And as I mentioned, we did expect distance education to decline because of the switch to on-site campus classes. On this slide, trustees will review our May mini numbers. As you can see, we were 144 students above this time last year. All of the sections for May mini are very condensed and they're in a short amount of time. So this semester runs from May 15th through May 30th, pretty quick semester, and finals are on May 31st. We had an additional 7 sections this past May mini when compared to last year. And as you can see, we've surpassed the 2022 and 2021 enrollment numbers. Last slide here for enrollment this morning on Summer 1. You can see again, we've increased our numbers by 607 when compared to last year. Again, we've surpassed the 22 and the 21 enrollment numbers. I'd like to note the summer has Summer 1 is 2 different sessions. We have a 5-week session and a 10-week session. And so those will run from June 5th through July 5th, for the 5-week, and June 5th through August 7th for the 10-week. So as you can see, we're trending in the right direction for the summer session as well. And I'll stand for any questions, please.
I just have a question for information purposes. Is the funding from the state the same on these short semester things as they are from?
Yes.
It's the same.
Any other questions? I've noticed a lot of our social media efforts, and I think that I know that it's been a challenge, but it's not for lack of a lot of effort that I see out there, and I think that that's going to be very effective. So good luck with that.
Thank you so much. And the CRM that we've been using, not even 12 months, has been wonderful. We've extended our communication with students, with guardians, also sending out physical mailings from marketing. I know we sent out 13,000 mailers this past semester, and all the names are connected through the CRM. So we're really excited about that, and it's helped enhance, of course, our numbers, and we're so very grateful for all your support.
Mr. Chairman, I just would add that for those of us that were here, sitting here 2 or 3 years ago, there was a lot of concern about what was going to happen. And so I think we can really say that this is a positive report, and hope that the trends will continue.
I agree, Trustee Wells.
And I want to echo Trustee Mosher, because there's been a lot of activity on campus this summer. From ag activities to high school activities to sports camps. So I want to commend you and your staff for working hard and not just dealing with the cyber portion of it, but physically bringing young people back so they can see all what Blinn has to offer. So thank you all for that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good to see you, Dennis.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, hey, thanks. Great report, Dr. McBride. Congratulations, and echo everybody else's sentiments there. You guys are doing a fantastic job. But I also wanted to mention, Mr. Cervantes, sorry I'm not there today, but thank you for all you've done as co-workers and friends, and now on the board. I appreciate all that you've done. I have a question for kind of both of you guys. When you mentioned that the out-of-state percentage has gone up, that got me thinking. I know typically that out-of-state and out of country students, we don't get state appropriations for those students. But now that the legislature is changing that funding model, has anybody heard if that's going to change at all, or if we're going to continue not getting state appropriations for out-of-state foreign students? And then I'll put my hand down and go back to mute.
Thank you, Dr. Krausen. Leighton, please.
Thank you, Dr. Krausen, for that question. The specifics, as we've mentioned, the specifics for House Bill 8 are currently in the rulemaking process with the coordinating board that is looking to wrap up the emergency rulemaking process in August. And these are the questions that are being answered in the rulemaking process. So we're doing the preliminary rulemaking process this summer to put this in place for September 1st. And just so you know, the permanent rulemaking process for this will occur in the fall. So we're in the emergency process now where these questions are being asked and answered on the rulemaking, and then there'll be the permanent rules will be set up in the fall as well.
Okay, thank you guys very much. Appreciate that report. All right, we will move to the item D, Spring 2023 Graduation Report, and I think Dr. McBride, you're going to take that as well.
Good morning again, Dr. Hensley, Mr. Chair, and members of the board. I wanted to begin our discussion today about graduation with a photo from the event, which was just last month. And what a wonderful evening we had. I enjoyed graduation so much to see our students come make their appearance. They celebrate their accomplishments, and their family and friends are there with them. But we do have a link. If you have some time, you can watch that video again if you feel the need. But just wanted to share such happy news, and so exciting to see that event that we have twice a year. I know it's been some time since we've talked about the types of applicants we have for graduation. So there are three. There's the regular applicants, and they apply themselves through the registrar's office, and they have the whole spring semester until the end of May to do that. We have the reverse transfer graduates, students who are attending another institution and they're transferring classes back to us, and of course the lost graduates, students who are found, we have found, who've completed all of their requirements for their degrees or certificates, but they never applied for graduation. When you look at our statistics here, this year compared to last, we do have an increased number of students who successfully completed their associates and their certificates. You can see that on the top right of the screen. Blinn is caught up with all of the students who've applied on the reverse transfer list. We will continue to work with our four-year partners to identify students as needed to increase that number as much as we can. And of course, with the last graduates, we're continuing to research and look for them. And we don't just stop that process once graduation takes place. That's year-round for us in student services. All right, the last two slides here are about the STEM associate degrees and certificates that have been completed this past year. And as you know, STEM majors are prescriptive. We're down by 22 students this year, and 12 of them are from competitive entry programs. Several students we have noted have changed majors to liberal arts. We noticed in nursing it wasn't as strong of a candidate pool we've had in the past. The maximum number of students we can have in that program is 64, and we do anticipate that number to increase for next year. When we look at computer science and engineering, we've noticed students who were in those associative science degrees, they're actually transferring to the system schools and starting their four-year degrees earlier. So we're seeing students that are anxious and moving forward and completing their degrees. On the last slide here about STEM majors, you can see physical therapist is down a little bit. We've had, they're still having COVID issues in those locations. So if they're not able to accept the students, we can't assign the students to the location. So hence we're at the mercy of those locations. I do think that'll increase within time. We're also seeing some of the information technology degrees, Linux specialist degrees, and Microsoft certificates. They're switching to our cybersecurity and cloud computing degrees. So we're seeing students also shifting into new majors. So they're still going to school, they're just changing their focus and completing with us. So I think that's exciting as well with those new programs. And with that, Mr. Chair, I complete this presentation.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions? Yes. Trustee
Question,
Ayler.
and maybe it goes to you, I'm not sure. But with House Bill 8, the lost grads, where we definitely improved on that from the year before. So is that something that would impact us on the funding as well, if we can't find them?
Yeah, great question, Trustee Ayler. So the new metric, remember for House Bill 8, is what's called a certificate of value. And so that's a term defined by the coordinating board. And so what the Lost Grads program, why we started that was because that would help us with success points. That's an internal, just so you guys know, it's an internal search process with student services. They comb all the records and determine who qualifies for that. And that's kind of why we're seeing the numbers go down. We've just combed through all the records and we continue to do that. As long as those credentials, as long as that Lost Grad is leading to a credential of value as defined by the coordinating board, the answer is yes. That will increase our outcomes-based metrics. And so that's why we continue that program, because that helps to increase those outcome-based, which ultimately leads to greater state funding.
Okay.
One other comment, Trustee Ehlert. A Lost Grad is treated just like any other grad. So whether they're Lost Grad or a regular graduate or a reverse transfer, it's all the same thing under state funding.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good question. I think we're good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we move on to item 5 on the agenda, consent items. All items listed in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Trustees and will be enacted upon one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a trustee so requests, in which event the item will be removed from consent and considered in discussion and possible action. Trustees receive agenda materials in advance of the meeting to prepare for the business to be conducted. Approval of minutes for the May 16th, 2023 regular meeting. Would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Trustee Wills, second by Trustee Benke. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, we will move
I'm
on
sorry,
to.
I have to ask one question.
Yes, sir.
Back on the enrollment, Dr. Hensley, are we going to have any thing going in Waller County for this coming, for the current new year coming up, or how's that going?
Yes, we do. Leighton, do you want to speak to it first? I'll add anything.
And thank you, Mr. Mosier, for that question. So we have 2 items that are going to be occurring in Waller with Waller ISD. The first is the dual credit. We are operating Waller ISD's dual credit program coming this fall. And so the registration for that's ongoing. I think last year numbers, I think Waller ISD had around 250 to 300 dual credit students. So that's the number we were looking at for doing the dual credit. Of course, the other item we're working on with Waller ISD is our courses to the community, what I'll call non-dual credit. So any regular course that we're going to be offering, we're looking at offering that in the evenings and on the weekends, and that will be out of a Waller ISD facility, sort of planning an outpost, if you will, as we move towards a full campus in Waller. We're going to be starting out at a Waller ISD facility, still working through those final details, and that will be registration open to the public to come and take regular courses, college courses in the fall. So we'll have both of those enrollment streams with Waller and the greater Waller area.
That's great. That's good.
That'll
Yes,
be new
we're
numbers.
very, very pleased, very excited. This is going to launch Blinn into that geographic area. And we're so delighted with the partnership with Waller ISD because they're allowing us to use their facilities as we offer not only daytime classes, but also evening classes for the just general population. I want to thank Jay Anderson also, who's working on trying to develop some workforce certificates and marketable skills awards opportunities at Waller ISD as well as regular dual credit.
That's great. That's good.
Okay, now we'll move on to item 6 on the agenda, discussion of possible action items, adoption of budget and stipends for fiscal year 2023, 2024. Mr. Cervantes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Hensley, members of the board. So this is our proposed budget for fiscal year 2023-24. We didn't have a straight line to get here either, but we did get here. And I think we brought forward all of the items that the board wanted us to place in the budget and the administration wanted it in there. So we ended up with a 2-tier salary increase, a 6% increase for full-time employees that are below the 170,000 and 5% for employees that are above. Cost of that is $3,268,000. We still have included the full-time faculty longevity, $400,000. Although we I don't believe the governor has approved the appropriations budget. We know the agency has put forward an insurance rate of 0 amount, and so it's hard to believe that the governor would pass to go beyond that. So I think we're okay. We have included, as we have in the past, models that we've shown you, the entry-level salary movement for faculty from 45,000 to 52. And recently, we've also added the part-time faculty increase per the pay schedule to $25 more. So what we're going to be talking about here is the 1, 2-tier, 6%, 5% increase. There's the total that I mentioned that including benefits at $3.3 million. We've taken off the health insurance. Faculty pay went up a little bit. I think we had it at 166 at one point, but because of the different models that we chose, it did end up going up a little bit. With every increase that we had here, we had a decrease in what I would call our plug, the R&R, that we plan on. This is the only amount that we would be budgeting out of operations. The rest of it would go in below the line in our reserves, out of our reserves. So the revenue hasn't really changed very much. We did want to say, if you look over here at the miscellaneous revenue, it does include this almost $17 million worth of HERF money, and that's why that looks a little bit out of whack. The expenses, we took the 5% and the 6% salary increases and wove them into all of these different areas. So we ended up at 119, almost 100,000. Not much change here, as you'll see in a little bit. You do have student services that went from 8% to 7%. Physical plant went from 12% to 13%. That really is the only change. The numbers are still going up, but just not at that percentage. And we have had a few other buildings that we are now having to maintain and secure, and so that's caused some of this to go up a little bit. So you look at the budget compared to, and these are actuals for 2021 and 21-22. You can see the numbers are still considerably higher than what we have now, but those had HERF monies, $4 million at least, that was in, actually more than that, almost $15 million for each year that was in there. So 126 is where we're going at now. Now, before I go there, so looking at the far right, the $126 million, and then we're budgeting 119, and the rest of that is coming out of what I'd call the non-operating expenditures. So you can see that I mentioned that the debt's going to go down next year, 8.7 to 7.4, and yet you still see the revenues going up. That's why that 7% is going to go down. Showed this last time, the repairs and renovations for each of the individual campuses. The Brenham campus has a couple pages. And then we did something unique that we hadn't done before. We took some of the carry forward from this year that we were not able to complete some of these projects, so we added them on there. So the total for repairs and renovations is a little bit less than $3.5 million, and we split a portion of that in for operational, but the bulk of it is coming out of the capital reserve budget. And that is where we end up. So looking for a recommendation, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cervantes. I would look for a motion that the Board of Trustees adopt the budget and stipends for fiscal year 2023-2024.
Mr. Chairman, after all the discussion we've had, I would make that motion.
Trustee Taylor, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Motion carries. Budget passed.
Thank you.
Okay, on to item B, acceptance of the audit report over campus operations and the audit advisory report over revenue and grant management related to the district-wide risk assessment effort. Mr. Cervantes, I have a feeling you're going to pass this one.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a great opportunity for me to transfer this one more time or pass this to Weaver Tidwell. As the chancellor has said many times, I'll take the opportunity to say the same thing. They really have done a great job for us and pointed out things that I think we ultimately, we would have found them, but we certainly wouldn't have found them as fast, and it has worked to our advantage. So Dan Graves is going to, Mr. Graves is going to give us the presentation for the.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for your kind words. It's been a pleasure working with you over these last couple years. We do have a report for you. It's the same report that we presented to the Budget, Audit, Investment, and Finance Committee on May 25th. We have two reports to present to you today as part of the audit plan. That audit plan had these two reports as well as one more that we are in progress on right now. That report that the audit that we're working on currently is the Database Administration and ERP audit. We also have our prior year follow-up over the outstanding findings from prior year audits that we've done. We're in the process of following up on those now, so those will be presented to you, I believe, at the August meeting. As far as the two reports for today, I've also got with me Jeff Jones. He is our manager who helped with both of these audits. The first audit over campus operations received a satisfactory report. We released that report January 20th, 2023. As a reminder, we've got a 3-tier rating system: strong, satisfactory, unsatisfactory. This received a satisfactory report, and the 3 objectives included in that audit received a satisfactory rating, a strong rating, and then a satisfactory rating. The scope of this audit included campus management, room and space planning, academic and non-academic space planning, as well as staffing and scheduling of those rooms. As far as campus operations, it did not include housing, cafeteria, safety, security, athletic facilities, or facilities and maintenance. As part of our risk assessment, those are all in other areas. And so we've either already covered those or they're available to be covered on any future audits. We had a total of 5 findings, 1 low risk and 4 moderate risk rated items, and we went over those in detail with the Budget, Audit, and Finance Committee. Largely, those are centered around some documentation approvals that were missing, some reconciliations between physical assets and what the digital management systems say, as well as some user access to that Ad Astra digital management system. So are there any questions over that report? If there are none, I'll move on to our revenue and grants management. So this audit changed from an audit to an advisory audit. The difference between that is the advisory audit is more consultative in nature. It's less findings based and more improvement based. So as we went through and we're scoping for this audit over revenue, we decided that there's so many elements of revenue that are highly managed by either and governed by either state statute, by your tax code, by the Board of Trustees yourself, that it made most sense for us to work with the college to help advance where we are with the grants management and other portions of revenue. And so as part of that, there is no assessment of strong, satisfactory, unsatisfactory. We did release a report with several recommendations. Those recommendations included some issues we identified as part of the HERF funding and the labeling of the reports that are posted on the website. That was due to the ever-evolving requirements from the federal government on what those reports should look like and how they're titled. We found a few minor errors. Those were addressed immediately by the college, and so those should be corrected by now. We also had a great opportunity to take from the findings of the grants management audits that we've done previously and really help move the ball forward on those by taking some of the current grant documentation that existed that was quite dated, and we did a full revamp of that, integrating into what was missing into the process, making recommendations and including that in the documentation, as well as making some improvements on current existing processes, such as some digital submissions of some of the grant forms. And I believe all of those findings are also in the works of being remediated. So with that, any questions there? If there are none, I'll just draw your attention to the last page of our report. That is our findings summary. It's just a table that outlines what we have identified from previous years till now and the status of those various findings. All of these we are following up on. So as far as Currently, what we're looking at, there are 29 open findings, and we are following up on the majority of those in this current process. However, 5 of those are from this year, so we're not following up on those. We'll do those next year. So of those 29, we'll have a report for you on which ones of those are closed and which ones are not at the next meeting in August. Any final questions?
Does anyone have any questions? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That being heard, I would ask that the Board of Trustees accept receipt of the audit report over campus operations and the audit advisory report over revenue and grant management related to the district-wide risk assessment effort. I'd entertain a motion. Trustee Hillard.
Second.
Trustee Wells, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Did I see we have a new grant coordinator or?
Yes, we do have a new person. Assistant Vice Chancellor Benny Graves is very excited to take over the Grants and Resource Development Office, and he will be joined by Kathy Baker, who will be Director of Grants assisting him. And they will be located in Old Main on the first floor as you come in on the east side. And Myron Dipple, just for FYI, he will be moving to, we believe, the second floor in this building. So Grants Resource Development will have its own space, and Myron will have his own space.
Okay, great. Thank you. Now, item C, authorization for the administration to negotiate and execute a guaranteed maximum price for the Bryan Administration Building on the Blinn Bryan campus. Mr. Cervantes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Feldhake will take the next 2 projects.
Great, thank you.
Morning, everyone. Morning, Chairman Colcourse, Dr. Hensley, members of the board. I'm here to present to you agenda item 6C, which is a request that the board authorize administration to negotiate and execute a guaranteed maximum price with J.T. Vaughn Construction LLC for the administration building on the Blinn Bryan campus. I will have a presentation on the building for us shortly. On June 2nd, Vaughn Construction provided a guaranteed maximum price of $27.18 million to construct the new administration building on the Blinn Bryan campus. This GMP cost, as well as the soft cost of $3.77 million, fall within the overall $30.95 million budget. Upon approval by the board, the GMP amendment to the construction contract would be executed with Vaughn. And construction schedule for this, we would anticipate beginning construction in August of 2023 with project substantial completion in November of 24, and we would then anticipate occupancy of the building by February of 25. And with that, I'll go through a brief presentation on this, but as a reminder, the funds for this are coming from our unrestricted cash. Just as a reminder to the board, the team on this is Kirksey Architects. They've done several buildings for us in the past, including the Schwartz building and the renovations to Moody Library. Also helped us out during the winter storm. Of course, Vaughn Construction has completed several successful projects, including the Schwartz building, the STEI building. As a reminder of the scope, I know we've seen this several times before, but the general scope for this building is to relocate the student services functions located at the Tejas Center, remote from the Bryan campus, back onto the Bryan campus, as well as to bring some of the administrative functions located in the Building S on the Bryan campus and give all of those a new home there on the north side of campus. A general map of the area, this map was presented, I believe, last January, that shows just general access to campus, the red lines indicating the major feeders to the Bryan campus, the yellow lines showing you the student access and how they will get there. The blue box, let's see if I can find my cursor. The blue box indicating all of our Bryan campus, and of course this darker blue box indicating our construction area. Now, as we get into the site plan, this yellow circle in the upper right-hand corner indicates a new access node into campus. This is a major point of emphasis for this project, giving students another way in and out of campus. That is at the intersection of Villa Maria and Nash Street. We'll also be extending that road, that Nash Street Road, along and tying it back into that Red River Drive access on campus. Of course, the major part of this project is a 46,000 square foot, two-story building. We're going to be providing a circular drive in the front of the building as well as a monument sign. And then, of course, we have the large staff and student visitor parking behind the building. Another area of emphasis I want to bring our attention to is the development of an intramural field on the south side of that parking lot. Now, this is exciting. Our architects have generated a fly around of the building that gives us a good view of what this building is going to look like. So this would be a drive approaching the circular drive. Directly in front of us on the lower level is the testing area. The upper level is our meeting space. As we fly by, we see the main entryway. I might have some technical difficulties here. I apologize. It appears I'm going to have to restart the program. We'll try again. Can you help, Joe? Let's try it this way. All right, let's cross our fingers. So again, as we fly by, I'll pick it back up. You can see directly in front of us, this is the entry from the circular drive, and you can see the tower on top of the building there. There to our left, on the lower level is student services. The upper level is the administrative area. Of course, we have this nice plaza area on the front side of the building. We'll fly around to the eastern side of the building you would see from the Villa Maria Road. And we'll come back around this back corner of the building. This is more of a service area where we would receive deliveries. This is a maintenance yard as well, where maintenance vehicles would access the building. There's also some administrative parking spots and an administrative entrance on this side. The lower level on this side would include prospective students and enrollment services. The upper level would be human resources and business services. And then as we continue to fly around, we'll get a view of the building from the parking lot side. This would be the side from our Bryan campus. This is another entryway. You can see the two-story glass area with an entryway and a drop-off for students or any other visitors to the building. The lower level right in front of you is financial aid and academic advising, the upper level being more of a mechanical space. You can see us flying through the parking lot. And we'll circle back around on the north side of the building. That gray box in front of you is a service entrance that would get you to an elevator and a stairwell for the back access to the meeting room for caterers to deliver up to the meeting room. Of course, we'll fly back around, and this would be coming along the Nash Street extension and bringing us back to the front of the building. And this is a nice view that gives you an idea of the tower that will be developed with this. Of course, it will be lit in the evening, very similar to some of the other towers we've developed. To bring us back to the building, very similar to what we've seen before. You guys have seen this in the past. A couple updates that we have brought about. Enrollment services had been moved into this lower left-hand corner so that we have a nice queuing area. We still have the financial aid and academic advising, the testing suite, the lobby space with this nice grand circular stair, and you'll see some images of that shortly as we get into the interior view. We also have prospective students, which still has great view off of the lobby, the extended student lobby. This is our restroom block with an elevator off of the main lobby. Of course, we've got the dual credit as well as registrar suite. As we move up to the second floor, we again have the lobby and the pre-function space in the middle with the circular stair. The area to the upper left is our large meeting space with capacity up to 300 seats. You can also see here in the back the service elevator and the stairs, which would allow caterers and deliveries to come to the building. This bottom right-hand side, we come to the business services office, the human resources suite, as well as the administrative suite. And now the architects have also done an interior walkthrough of the building. Just a statement on this, some of these finishes are in the final tweaks, so some of these might not be completely accurate. So this would be entering the building from the circular drop-off. We come in to our right, we have our security desk and our police office. I believe this video is going to turn us to look into the entryway into the testing center. So we have great visibility for students that need to come in and get to the testing suite. You can see just to the left of that security desk is also the service window for financial aid and academic advising. In front of us, we have that nice stair that brings us up to the second floor, and we're walking towards the enrollment services counter with the queuing space. We're going to turn back towards the self-service computers that the students will be able to use and look back over the lobby. You'll see the elevator right in front of us, and then we'll look back down more of the student services lobby. That glass wall to our right is the prospective students area. And then we have a student waiting area. The restrooms are to our left. This glass area to our left is a small meeting room, and you'll see a larger conference room just as we get past this corner. Directly in front of us is going to be some transfer offices, the enrollment services, the registrar suite. Of course, the glass area there is the conference room. To our left is a vending area, and then further to our left would be mechanical spaces. We're going to walk back through the lobby and go upstairs, and that's going to show us our second floor of the building. So as we approach, this is our monumental stair, which takes us up to the second floor lobby in the pre-function space. Directly in front of us is our business office. We're going to turn, there's our elevator, and we're going to turn and look at our two meeting rooms. We are in the lobby in the pre-function space. This box just above us is the top of the tower, which will be lit in the evenings. We're going to go into the meeting space. Again, this will hold roughly 300 people in various setups from banquets to seminars. It can be a divisible room, so we would have the ability to divide that into two spaces. You can see that we have nice clear story light, so that we will always have nice natural light into the space, and buffet counters in the back of the room for serving food. Behind us would be the back of house functions like the kitchen and the storage for tables and chairs. As we come out, we'll go back through the lobby space, and we'll see the final suites in the building. Again, the business services area we just passed on the right. This glass wall that we're approaching on the right is going to be our human resources suite. The restrooms, again, are on our left. And as we go through these double doors, we'll be entering the campus administration suite as we enter the campus administration lobby. As a reminder on the schedule, we're here at June. This would be our pricing approval. The contractors anticipated as we complete our building permits and some other pricing exercises, given the board's approval, we would start construction in August of '23 with an anticipated occupancy in February of '25. And again, just a reminder on funding for this. The funding for this is coming from unrestricted funds. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Feldhake. Is there any questions? Pretty impressive presentation. Really cool to be able to fly through the building, so that was neat.
I'll pass that along to the architect.
That's great. Well, I think that we would be looking for a motion that the board authorize the administration to negotiate and execute a guaranteed maximum price with J.T. Vaughn Construction LLC for the administration building on the Blinn Bryan campus. So I would look for a motion for that.
So move.
Trustee Wells. Trustee Ehlert. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
All right, thank you so much. Motion carries. Okay, and lastly, on this particular portion of the agenda is the authorization for the administration to negotiate and execute a contract for College Avenue Street and sidewalk realignment on the Blinn Brenham campus. Feldhake.
Yes, thank you. We are now at agenda item 6D.
Sharing the wrong screen. And we're good.
All right.
Sorry.
Thanks, Joe. This is a request that the board authorize administration to negotiate and execute a contract with John Tucker Construction for College Avenue Street and sidewalk realignment on the Blinn Brenham campus. On June 1st, 2023, the College District received 3 proposals in response to the request for proposals for general contractor services. A committee reviewed and scored these proposals, and based on the committee's scores, administration recommends that the board authorize administration to negotiate and execute a contract with John Tucker Construction for $1.357440 million for general contractor services for the College Avenue Street and sidewalk realignment. John Tucker Construction has indicated a completion date of April of 2024. That would be beginning in August of 2023. The project estimate provided by Gensler Architects in the master plan was $1.09 million. Funds for this are available from unrestricted cash, and I do have a small presentation on this as well. So as a reminder, this is one of our master plan projects. This is a slide that we've seen in the past. This is our implementation. So this was indicated as the 7th project in our implementation plan. Some of the other projects you'll recognize as already have been completed. Project number 8 is the esports at Mill Creek. So we are still on track with our implementation of the master plan projects. To dig in a little bit further, again, this was presented in our master plan implementation. This, in general, this project was a 3-block improvement along College Avenue, starting at Green Street and going all the way over to Blinn Boulevard. Some of this has already been completed in front of the STEI building. So we're going to be focusing on the aspects of this project in front of Old Main and in front of the classroom building. As we zoom in, not the prettiest picture, but this is what the civil engineers have given us. I'm going to use my cursor to indicate some of the areas. So this is the Old Main building. This is the classroom building in Lockett Hall, with this being our football field. The darker areas are indicating where we will be extending the sidewalk on the north side of the street, bringing that out about 10 feet into the street. We've already taken some of the parking off, but we'll be bringing that sidewalk out, have a nice wide sidewalk. We'll also be adding some pedestrian lights to that side of the street. One of the major aspects of this project you're going to notice, you'll see here, this is where that large retaining wall is, and we don't have a sidewalk there. We're going to be removing that retaining wall, bringing that back and doing a tiered retaining wall so it's not so massive. And we're going to be extending that sidewalk along the south side of College Avenue to provide pedestrian access all the way around that block. We will be reducing the size of that track somewhat. There's still going to be access around the track, but it will be minimized down to just a couple lanes to allow us to bring that retaining wall back in. The schedule for this project, we anticipate it beginning with board's approval in August. The contractors indicated that they would be done by April. Again, this is because we're working on a road. We've had to coordinate with TxDOT. There will be some shutdowns, and it will affect traffic somewhat, but that was going to be anticipated no matter how we approach this. But with that, we would anticipate completion of this project in April of 2024. And again, the funds for this are from unrestricted cash. So with that, I will stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Feldhake. Does anyone have any questions? As you recall, this is part of our master plan. We've talked about it at length, part of the beautification project for the Blinn campus. So I would entertain a motion that the board authorize the administration to negotiate and execute a contract with John Tucker Construction for College Avenue Street and sidewalk realignment on the Blinn Brenham campus.
Y'all have been elected just like I have. Speak up.
Trustee Benke makes the motion, and Trustee, okay, you gave a second, Trustee Kettler. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Very good. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will now move into the executive session portion of our agenda. I would say we take a 10-minute break, and we will rejoin the meeting at 11:43 a.m. And it is 11:33 a.m. at this point.